Hey, good afternoon, good evening. So today I get to review what is MVC. Starting at the beginning, for me, late 90s or so, dealing with the web, dial up, maybe DSL, maybe T1 if you were really lucky at the school. As the web and technologies evolved from that, we went from simple static HTML pages, kind of like the GeoCities, the really basic pages that I remember growing up, to more complicated ones that often look and feel like total desktop applications. And that's where pretty much everything is moving to. Like TurboTax is super robust and like a desktop app nowadays, as many other websites are too. And to deal with this increased complexity required, different patterns emerged on how to make the code less complicated for developers and offered better maintainability. And the most popular industry standard framework or design pattern, what have you, is MVC. It's not the latest and greatest, but it was super popular for a number of years. And it enabled developers to split large applications into smaller concerns each with their own job. Like basically the business logic and the view are the two big ones. So this is super helpful. You could have one team work on the model and business logic layer, while a total different team or another team worked on the UI and the view or presentation layer. And of course, there's other subvariants such as the model view model view presenter, so on and so forth. Here's a little diagram of basically what I'll be talking about. MVC stands for Model View Controller. High level, the model handles the data and the business logic. The view handles the layout and the display. And the controller receives the initial request, routes this request to the correct place, either the model or the view, and submits the response back to the user. So a typical request flow will be the controller is where the request begins. The controller decides where to send the request. The controller handles it, tells it what to do. It's kind of a middleman to the model and the view. It then asks the model to get the data and perform the business logic of the request. Once the request is at the model handles all the data, business logic of the application. Example, like the customer object interacts with the database, manipulates the data, updates it, and sends it back to the controller to either send to the view, like the username, the account number, bank account balance, etc. And the view dynamically it will display this data. It only cares about how to present it. It's not going to manipulate it, or it shouldn't manipulate it in any way. Displays the drop downs, the account information, the text color, etc. And the model and the view ideally should not interact with one another. This is all in theory, and there have been times when there's business logic in the view or controller, so on and so forth. So you need to be diligent in code review and set and adhere to code-based standards. You can physically write model logic in a controller and view, etc. Like it's not going to stop you from doing that, but it's a convention or suggestion to adhere to. Now, a little bit of history. This was kind of developed in the late 80s, continued into the 2000s on the web. And Ruby on Rails framework, the Django Python framework had similar model template view take, and also ASP.NET with Microsoft. So it followed this convention for a number of years. And currently in 2023, probably for the last 5 or 6 years, the web is moving more toward a client-side service and a REST API service. I talked about APIs previous video. This is known as kind of a SPA, a single-page application with many different APIs, smaller apps split into microservices or components. And this is a big benefit because you can have an API that works with a web app and also a mobile app. You're not going to have the duplicate business logic for a web version, a mobile app version, and these huge monolithic applications. So MVC was very important and I say instrumental in the development of the web. And there are many, many applications still out there supporting the MVC pattern today. So too long didn't read. MVC is a way to structure and separate your business logic from view logic so you don't end up with spaghetti code. The model handles all the business logic. The view stands for V, handles the presentation and the UI. And the controller receives a request and sends it to the correct place, the model or the view, or just shares the response back to the user. Thank you so much